But we also have Dome Glacier that you'll see later today on your tours. There's also Saskatchewan Glacier and Stutfield Glacier in the area. They're not too far from us, but they are kind of hidden behind some valleys. They sit really high up in the Alpine ecoregion. And then on the other side, we have Columbia and Castlegar Glaciers. Because this ice field here is 165 square kilometers. It is absolutely massive. It goes along into Alberta and British Columbia. So right at the top of the glacier on the horizon here in front of us, that big ice wall, just above there, that's where the ice field is. And if you wanted to go into BC, you could just walk right across. It's right there.
Oh.
Now later today, you guys will be able to see Dome Glacier. It hangs off the side of Mount Snowdome. Mount Snowdome is the mountain directly to the right-hand side of the Athabasca Glacier. So we're just on the wrong side of the mountain to see Dome Glacier, but your guide should be pointing it out to you on your way up to the skywalk. And I want you to pay extra special attention when they mention Dome Glacier, because Mount Snowdome is home to the only known triple continental divide in the entire world. Wow.
Oh.
Jess, what does that mean? It's a lot of big words. Well, if you were to walk up to the top of the mountain casually, just walk up to the top. And then if you were to pee at the top, wait a week, you could say that you are in the Arctic, the Atlantic, and the Pacific Oceans all at the same time. Seriously, that's seriously how it works. So the water from there goes into 3 oceans, and that's why it's called the Triple Continental Divide. But I'm going to give you guys a little break and talk about glaciers momentarily, because we're going to talk about rocks for a minute. Because we are going to go down something called the lateral moraine.
Ay, grabe, lalim.
So this glacier here, the Athabasca, moves around 30 centimeters every day. And in all that moving around that it does, it has the ability to not only carve out valleys and mountains, but also to push everything out of the way, just like all this rock around us. So lateral just means side, moraine just means pile of rock. So we're going to go down the side pile of rock here. But it does sound way cooler when I say lateral moraine. So we'll stick to that. Now this is also known as the steepest commercially used non-paved road in North America. Ooh. I also like to call it the world's slowest roller coaster, because we go about 4 kilometers an hour all the way down, baby.
Oh.
Now if you look on the left-hand side, all the way across on the side of the glacier there, you can see that lateral moraine goes up really high. And it's actually outlining how tall the glacier used to be at one point in time. Now, it would have been that high, that tall quite some time ago, but it's still great to see and kind of imagine how all of this would have been where the glacier was. And now, depending on where you're sitting, you can probably look up through the roof and see parts of Mount Snowdome, because we are at a 32-degree angle. Now, the steepest commercially used paved roads, the steepest ones that you can make like on a highway, is about an 8% grade. We're at 32%. So we like to go above and beyond here in the wild west of Alberta.
Oh.
How often are the brakes changed?
The brakes, honestly, not as much as you would think. They're actually awesome brakes. I think in this particular bus, they get changed every year, at the end of the year. The other buses though, they will get changed every 2 years or so. This bus doesn't have an engine retarder like the other one. So the engine retarders, you actually don't use the brakes at all on the way down, because you just pull this little lever and it slows the bus down. I only have a transmission lockup, which just kind of like, I don't even know what it does honestly. It just locks up my RPMs, and then I just use my service brake to stop myself from going and overheating my engine. That's it. Okay guys, congrats.
Wow.
You made it down. You're one step closer to getting out onto the glacier. So we've come off of the lateral moraine. We're now on something called the ice cord moraine. And the ice cord moraine is called such because underneath us is technically the Athabasca Glacier.
Oh.
So when the glacier pushed all that rock out of the way, it pushed a ton of it onto its sides here. And what this rock is doing now is it's covering it up, almost acting like an armor, protecting the ice underneath it. So on a nice sunny day like today, the rocks are going to absorb the heat of the sun and keep the ice underneath nice and cold, which is awesome.
Oh, nice.
But because
Perfect
it's
nga
keeping it
lang
so
yan.
much colder, it's not going to be moving nearly as much. Like I said, the open Athabasca Glacier moves about 30 centimeters every day, whereas the portion that we're riding on moves maybe 1 centimeter every once in a while if it feels like it. But that rock is making it act almost independent from the open glacier. A lot of it has attached itself at this point, just because the one side is not moving, the other one's moving down, so it's got to detach itself. And then if you look along the left, all of these big piles of dirt here, underneath there is also the glacier. So there's just enough rock there to be covering it up, but sometimes we'll get these little rock slides and it'll uncover parts of the glacier on the side. We can show you guys. But if you ever see water coming out of these piles, it's the glacier underneath it, that's why. Alright, everybody's ready to go for a dip? Pull our toes off. I'm gonna wash off my tires here in the tire wash. We are very good at naming things, thank you. It comes very creative when you work here. But the tire wash is there so that I don't bring any dirt or anything out onto the glacier. Makes my tires nice and squeaky clean. Because if I bring dirt out onto the glacier, it's gonna end up melting down the glacier even more, only where those mud spots are, because they're darker than the light snow that we have around us, and then we'll get a bunch of holes everywhere. That's not really what we want.
Yeah.
So you can see there's still a ton of snow all over the Athabasca Glacier right now. This snow will leave around the end of June, but for now, it's doing the same thing that the rock is doing on the ice core grain, where it's protecting the ice underneath it, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now right at the top of the glacier, just kind of out the left, you can see that big wall on the horizon. That wall is where the ice field is, once again. If you're wondering where it is, that's it. That's the ice field. So it comes up over the horizon, down that wall, and then it's pushing the glacier downwards towards the Athabasca, or towards the ice field center. Okay, out to the left-hand side, all the way up to the top of those mountains there, you can see we have a couple other glaciers.
Yeah.
Now these are independent glaciers, so they're not connected to the ice field. They were at one point, but they're all grown up now. They moved out. They don't need an ice field anymore. They're self-sustaining. So the one closest to us, kind of wedged right in the middle of the two mountains, that's called Double A Glacier. And then the one furthest away from us, sitting right in the middle of that mountain, is called Andromeda's Glacier, because this is right in the middle of Mount Andromeda.
Yeah.
So the ice we're about to stand on today is about 250 meters in depth, and it's already about 200 to 300 years old. Now right before I let you guys off here, I'm going to go over just a couple of things. So I have just a couple of rules to go over. I know, you're probably thinking, God, there's rules on the glacier? Yes, but there's only 2 rules, okay? And they're really fun rules. They're fun for me, because it makes sure that you guys are all safe, which is really fun for me. So, number 1 rule, you'll notice that we have this area cleared off for you guys. So this area is what we call our boundary area. We have red circular signs that say area boundary that go all the way around it. If you find yourself having to step over a rope, or you find yourself behind one of those circular signs, that's outside of the boundary. Come back inside, okay? Because there are ice monsters. They're sleeping right now, but as soon as someone goes out there, they go really quick. We're gonna leave them alone. And number 2, please don't walk behind the buses. Again, for obvious reasons, we can all figure out why. Big tires, big blind spots. You'll see here about 10 minutes, Erica's gonna leave, and we are very, very good at going up and down hills, but we are not very good at turning.
No.
So we need the entire area behind us to turn around. So for that reason, all of this here on the side of the bus, along the front, free real estate, that's all yours. Behind the bus though is Pancake City, so we're gonna leave it alone. Last thing, I wanna make sure you guys all come back to this bus so I don't leave you behind, because I will. I don't want to, but I will. So I have a schedule to stick to, you guys. We're gonna leave here at 2:45, okay? So at 2:45, I'm gonna honk my horn and do a little toot toot. And no other horn sounds like this, by the way. The other ones are all like super lame car horns. This one's a fun horn. So you hear that horn, and then I'm going to bring up my steps, I'll close the door, and you guys can let me know how the walk back is. I heard it's not that fun though. So what time do we come back here for?
2:45.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Get the stairs down. I'll probably meet you guys out there in a few minutes. If you don't have any questions, let me know. I'm just gonna have a little bite to eat up here, and then I'll meet you guys out there. Okay?
Okay.
All right, let's get out there.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you. Uy!
Uy, picture tayo dito sa ano.
Oo nga, dito oh.
Punta tayo mag-picture dun sa plekte.
Ha? Sa flag. Ang gulong, ang laki. Ang laki. Hey! Ay, 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 ay. Are. Ayan, guys. Hindi ko makita. Da. Risa, saan ka na? Risa! Saan sila Ate Lani? Nandun pala sila.
Dapat hindi pwedeng ganito sabi ni Dapat ganito tayo.